We started posting in October and then we launched in February and March. And we were posting every single day, like the whole journey, picking branding, trying flavor iterations. And it really made people feel like they kind of had a seat at the table with us. And people were really excited to be a part of the community and support us once the product went live for that reason.
We do think of ourselves as kind of democratizing the process of like product development and business development because we do include our audience and our community in everything we do. But then at the same time, you kind of have to be like, what is something that, they would like and that they maybe don't know they would like?
Welcome to the DTC Insider Podcast, where online business owners come to find actionable tips and tactics to grow their businesses. Now, here's your host, Brian Roisenthal.
Welcome to another episode of the DTC Insider Podcast. I'm Brian Roisenthal, your host, and today I'm sitting here with Leah and Yasaman, both founders of Good Girl Snacks. Hey, Leah. Hey, Yasaman. Thanks for being here on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. We're excited to chat.
Yes, my pleasure. Today I get to interview not only one, but two founders of a great company. So I was wondering, could you please tell the audience more about the brand, but most importantly, first, how you guys met?
Yeah, kind of a funny story. So I grew up in Geneva, Switzerland my whole life, and Leia was born there and lived there until she was about 10. And so we both, funnily enough, got admitted to the same college. And right before going, we had a friend in common who introduced us because he knew Leia from childhood and he went to school with me. And so we ended up meeting right before going to USC. And then we just became attached at the hip for all 4 years of college. And then, up until now, we graduated like 2 years ago.
Nice. And when did you launch the company?
So we graduated 3 years ago. We both went kind of our separate ways in terms of career. I was in a marketing and growth position at a tech startup, and then Yasaman was working in the art space. We felt super unfulfilled with our jobs, and so we started scrolling on TikTok on the job. And we were huge foodies. Being Middle Eastern, food was always something that we grew up with. So obviously the algorithm knew that, and all the videos we were seeing online were food related. And we started noticing a pattern that almost every other food video we were seeing was a pickle related video. Kind of similar to how in 2014, everyone was eating avocado toast out of nowhere. Everyone was eating pickles now. And we looked at the aisle and it was super sleepy. There was no flavor innovation, no packaging innovation. No one was organic. So we kind of started joking around about what it would be like to start a pickle company called Hot Girl Pickles. Spoke to people in the industry. People really pushed us to pursue the idea full time. So we did. We quit our jobs summer 2023, and then we launched the product end of February 2024. So like 8-9 months to market from the day that we started. And we started posting in public, vlogging the whole journey of what it was like to start this company on TikTok and Instagram Reels. And everything kind of took off from there. We went viral before launching. We reformulated the product, really got proof of concept in 2024. And 2025 has been kind of an introduction into retail. So we're in Erewhon, Bristol Farms, GoPuff National. We're about to be in Central Market. And we have a couple more pretty big retail chains. And then we also came out with 2 flavors originally and then just added a third to the line of products we have. So
what a
it's
journey.
been a very
So
journey.
basically, I wanted to see if I got something right. You both quit your job even before you launched. Is it right?
Yeah.
Wow. And what did your relatives, friends, family thought back then?
I feel like on my end, they were definitely supportive. I feel like friends were super supportive and they were excited for us. Obviously, I feel like the CPG industry in America is very different to what it is internationally. And so I think for family that lived in Europe, it was a bit more, I guess, of a difficult concept to grasp, but they were still supportive. Thankfully, I'm very lucky to have parents that are very supportive and believe in me. And so overall, it was pretty positive.
Yeah, we both kind of had a positive experience. Also, we came out of college with, flying colors, great educational experience and background. And so I think we had a lot of trust around us as well from the people around us, that it wasn't just a random idea that we were pursuing. Although we got a lot of laughter around it. People thought it was kind of funny, but I'm glad we're proving ourselves out now.
Yeah, I can relate. I used to have like a business partner he was my best friend for over 10 years. And yeah, we were laughing all the time. It was fun, working together. And yeah, I miss those days sometimes. So I want to ask, you said that you spent more or less, 8 to 9 months in the go-to-market strategy. Is that correct?
Well, 8 to 9 months to build out the whole product, like
Yeah.
working with our
From
food scientists,
concept
doing the branding,
to
etc. And
from
then
ideation to strategy.
exactly
Okay.
right. And then
How do you
yeah,
go about that? One thing you say, oh, I see a TikTok here and I want to launch this company, but how did you actually pull that off?
we were working with two consultants pretty quickly. One of them was a food scientist, and her partner was like more on the operational support. And so they were helping us bring the product to life. We already had a pretty good idea of what flavors we wanted to do. And so it was really easy to work with people to kind of make that happen. And then in parallel, at the same time, we were also working with a design team to create labels and branding for it. And we, again, had a very clear vision for what we wanted there. So it was really easy to work with the team we found to get something done quickly. And then at the same time, we were also posting about all of this on social media. So we were already building community and excitement around the product, which made it possible for us to launch
You
successfully
were
very quick.
posting before you launched?
Yeah,
Nice.
we started posting in October, and then we launched in February and March. And we were posting every single day, like the whole journey, picking branding, trying flavor iterations. And it really made people feel like they kind of had a seat at the table with us. And people were really excited to be part of the community and support us once the product went live for that
Even though
reason.
it's different product categories, I find a parallelism with what a brand called Obvi did. I don't know if you know Obvi is OBVI. It's a high eight-figure brand company. I had the pleasure of meeting here. They build in public, and they are the founders of Chew on This. It's a podcast plus communities. They do e-com events around the big events there in the US. So they do after parties, all those stuff. So it's great, great people. Ronak Shah and Ash Malwani, Ankit Patel, and basically what they do and what they did in the beginning, they took like collagen powder, they took collagen mainly, and they created a company around flavored collagen, but not just any flavor. They started asking people what they liked to see next. And over time, they created a community for them. It's a Facebook group. And till this day, I don't know how many, I don't know if it's 100,000 members or so they have. And it's a valuable place for them to interact with customers and to see what they want to see next. So in this case, I can see that parallelism between, the products that you have plus the community side of things to shape your products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I think it's interesting also with product development because you want to, cater to what people want, but then at the same time, you want to stand out from what they know and what they do use on the daily. So, for example, we had our community request a bread and butter pickle flavor, but no one was requesting, bread and butter pickles sweetened with dates. That's something that we decided to add. And so I think it's a fine line between, listening to your customers and, think of ourselves as kind of democratizing the process of like product development and business development because we do include our audience and our community and everything we do. But then at the same time, you kind of have to be like, like what is something that, they would like and that they maybe don't know they would like.
I mean, there's a common saying, I think it comes from Henry Ford. And he said, if I asked people what they wanted to see next, they would have told me a faster horse, you know, instead of a car. So yeah, I totally agree. That being said, I think today that the best way to stand out and to do it in a lean way is to, rely on your customers. But again, you need to trust your gut, and in the end, launch what you think that's best for the brand. And probably from the options that you have, sometimes you have more than one option in mind, and then you define with their vote or something like that. But yeah, that's great. Another company sorry, my brain goes sideways all the time, but one brand that is doing, flavor products and is doing great is called Smacking Sunflowers. I don't know if you know the brand, but they took
Sounds familiar.
sunflower seeds and they turned them into flavored, and they have a huge ecosystem. I don't know how many like this. It was like a huge they have their own factory right now, like huge place. Like, yeah, anyways. So yeah, I want to say that in case either you or those listening want to check them out, because those two are building in public. Are you building in public, by the way? Are you
Pardon?
building in public,
Was that?
or are you showing the behind the scenes?
Yeah, yeah. We've been building in public since the first video we posted. That was kind of like the whole point, was for people to kind of see what we were doing behind the scenes from day zero up until now. We're still posting every single day of the journey and continuing to build in public, just so that people can follow the growth and want to continue supporting and put a face to the brand. We're not just a product. We're like two best friends that started this without knowing anything about the industry, which makes people also interested and invested in how we even did it. So we've always been very authentic and open still to this day.
Are you both the face of the brand?
Yeah, we separate out our roles, but we're both on camera. I mean, we are like the two people that are working on this company, so it makes sense that we're both on it. Like, we are the story. So, yeah, it's definitely a little weird sometimes because we've started getting stopped in the street and people like know who we are, which is kind of funny. Like, we're the Pickle Girls, but yeah, we've had a great time doing it and it's enabled us to connect with our community a lot more. So, we always tell people who are starting a company, if they have the ability to be public and, post every day, it's the best way to spend $0 on marketing.
There's a debate around face and faceless brands, you know, and
Yeah.
founder-led companies or founder-led content. Basically, I think that it is said that you need to use your company size to your advantage, and the big guys, the big players, are not willing to do some stuff that you probably need to be willing to do or are willing to do. So in this case, being the face of a brand is a luxury that those big companies don't have, right? So probably it's another way to stand out, build rapport with your customers, and tell them more about your mission, your vision for the company, and create some shared values between with your audience.
Yeah. I think
Exactly.
also like we're our own demographic. Like we kind of, as founders, like represent exactly the type of people that we want to like market to. And so I think that makes the brand more personable as well, because we know that most people that are watching our videos are girls that are kind of, around our age bracket, and they're the ones that we're speaking to and targeting. And so I feel like it makes it all the more like relatable and interesting for them to follow along.
How many pieces of content do you create every single week or every month?
Well, we post every day. Oh, like, depends on if we're filming multiple times a day or if it's pre-filmed content, but there's like 30 to 31 pieces of content going up a month. Maybe even more if you're counting stories and then like photos on top of short form content. Um, but yeah, there's a lot.
Well, congrats.
It depends. It depends, like, if we're leaving town or if we have campaigns that need to go live, then we'll pre-record them. But most of the time, it's like planned out earlier in the week what we're going to post that week. And then just so that we're staying relevant with trends and all that stuff. And then we kind of find times through the week to film and create the content.
You record together or both, like separate and together?
Yeah, it depends. Like, it depends on what we're doing, what the content is, what the idea is, but most of the time we're together. Or, if we're doing a vlog, like I might start it off and then, yeah, someone's like showing up at a random time in the video. It really just depends on the type of content that's going up that day.
In the audience, we have uh, many fellow brand founders, some ahead of the journey, some behind you. And for those wondering if it's worth it, the organic content creation, what would you tell them?
It is 100% worth it. It's the only way that we've been able to spend $0 on marketing as a small brand. If you aren't doing organic content creation, then that means that you're paying for your marketing, which gets really expensive really quick, especially as a small business.
Yeah. And let's talk about sales. What channels do you operate on mainly? Is it mainly the store, like the online store? Is it retail? What percentage of your business each of them represent?
I feel like year one, it was definitely 90% ecom and about 10% retail. Just because we were starting out, we were trying to get proof of concept. And because, we were building in public, we had built a community that I think, obviously was way easier for them to purchase online from anywhere in the US rather than just a few retail locations. And then at the end of 2024, we started slowly trickling into a few like mom and pop shops kind of around LA and New York. And then 2025, I would say we're probably like 80% retail and 20% online. And we have like we're really building out like a pretty strong like retail rollout strategy. And yeah, I think consumer behavior is that you're going to buy your groceries, with everything else that you buy, or you're not necessarily going to like pull out a product online. It's great for first tries, but you're not necessarily going to get a ton of repeat purchases online. And then also because we are a heavy glass product, like just with the nature of what our product is, I think being on a shelf makes a lot more sense for us as a brand.
You sell the same products in both channels?
Yes.
I'm asking because some companies, again, some they might sell some heavy products as well. So they sell a different version of the product. Like I don't know, instead of the beverage, they sell that beverage in powder or so. If it's chocolate milk or something like that, for example. So and some others use the DDC environment or the DDC channel as the lab, to test stuff, and they leave retail for the hero products that people know that they love. So in this case, it's exactly the same, both retail and DTC.
Yeah, I think with pickles it's a little trickier to do that. But yeah, we've always wanted to just keep our operations pretty simple and, not have too many SKUs available and kind of confuse consumers. But it's been a good journey, and for us it was really what proved the idea very well for us is obviously when we first started out there was a lot of barriers to purchase. Like there's expensive shipping. We were shipping from the East Coast. So if you were buying from California, shipping was pretty expensive and we didn't really have um, the means to sort of subsidize part of the shipping. And so it was all on the customer. And then at the same time, because our first production round was so small, our prices were pretty high. And despite both of those and the fact that you usually don't buy pickles online, people were really obsessed with the product and were selling us out. And so to us, that was the biggest indicator that we were onto something, and that if, we worked on getting the product in people's hands on a shelf, that we'd be hopefully pretty successful doing that.
What's it like for, you know, a young brand to get into retail? I mean, so early in the journey. What was something that probably you underestimated the first time you got into retail and said, "Oh, I didn't thought of this." And let's say for those brands listening that are looking into like getting into retail, what would you tell them as well? Like the ups, the downs, etc.
I mean, the ups are really that you get so many eyeballs on you. It's so easy to promote your product and then, tell everyone like, hey, we're at this store, like go buy us. And, it makes it also, yeah, it's just like obviously people will see you on the shelf. And if you have a product that stands out, then, it's even more helpful. I think the downs are obviously that it's really a volumes business, and the way you make money in this industry is really by selling a lot of product in a lot of stores. And so when you're starting out, I think it can feel kind of exciting because you're like, oh my gosh, like I have my first retailer. And then, you have distributor costs, and then, you're doing demos, and then you have like in-store promotions and other sort of like trade spend that goes along with it. And you kind of realize that, okay, like I'm going to need to do 100 times more than this to be able to see profitability or see like success, quote unquote. So I think that's probably the thing that we weren't fully expecting. But at the same time, we understood from the beginning when we started this business that CPG, specifically food and beverage, is a tough industry because margins are pretty small. It's not like clothing or perfume or beauty where the margins are so big, and with selling a few amount of products, like selling smaller quantities, you can still make a pretty good amount of money. And with food and bev, obviously it's really in the volume you sell.
Especially this year, right? It wasn't like an easy year for brands, especially those in the DC channel. The cost to acquire a customer is high or higher than before. Meta ads is no longer working as it used to, sorry. And yeah, have you tried the Amazon, or are you looking into it or not?
We obviously would have loved to be on Amazon, but again, because we're trying to move off of ecom with the glass jars, we've decided not to go with Amazon just because we've experienced a lot of breakage, and it just makes more sense for people to buy the pickle jar in a store versus online.
And what would they buy online?
I mean, we still have our product available online, but like most people are just going to the store to purchase it
Have you
at
analyzed
this
to
point.
changing the jar material, or is it's not a thing?
Well, for us, sustainability and being clean was really important to us, especially as we are targeting a younger demographic that seems to be very educated. And so we wanted to make sure that one, we were sustainable, avoiding microplastics, all that stuff. And with the retail expansion that we're, following through now, it's going to be okay for us to continue using a glass jar.
What about TikTok Shop? I mean, do we do we apply the same logic then for Amazon? Like because you didn't do TikTok Shop, or is it something else?
Yeah, it's the same thing. We don't want to be shipping out a glass jar anymore.
We
It's
have
been a little bit of a headache.
Yeah, we also have custom shipping packaging. There's a lot of costs that go into shipping a glass product. And so for that reason, it makes more economical sense for us to just sell our product wholesale, or at least to focus our efforts on wholesale.
If you had to start over, what would you do differently?
That's a hard question. I feel like we would probably start with smaller cucumbers. Originally, we actually have a jar here, but we started with really big cucumbers, and people had a lot of customer feedback about it, and we ended up switching to smaller cucumbers, which is now what we use, which they're a lot nicer to eat, and it just creates like a easier snacking experience. So I wish we had started off with those instead of the larger ones, but we sold out of like 3,000 jars in like a little less than 3 months of the jars with the bigger cucumbers. So we got rid of them quite quickly and were able to reformulate quickly thereafter.
Yeah, obviously hindsight is 2020. So looking back, I'm sure we could sit here and think of a million things that we would have done differently. But I think all in all, I wouldn't have done anything differently because even every mistake we've made was a huge learning lesson for us and led us to a place or pushed us in a direction that now feels right. So I would say I think we did our best considering that we were very new to the industry.
One thing I wanted to ask you about retail that I forgot to ask you earlier is about the fact that do you think that the fact that you have a strong organic presence helped in seducing retailers and of course customers as well? Is that a thing?
100%. I think we were able to prove that we already had proof of concept, number one. And then number two, we were able to show retailers that we can bring Gen Z into their doors, which that's the hardest consumer demographic to successfully bring in somewhere or to have them purchase something. We're very picky as a generation. I think retailers were really excited about that. And I think any brand with a cult following is exciting to have in a store.
I mean, in the end, it means something. It means that people know what you have. I heard that people thought, the first time they got into retail, they thought that was the win, getting into the shelves. But then they found that if they had no traction, the retailer wasn't going to take care of that for them. So they wanted to see brands that took care of traction. So in this case, having a following probably helped with that.
Yeah, exactly.
So what are your plans that you can tell the audience right now for the rest of the year? Probably for Q4 or something that you can tell the audience. Again, not about promotions or deals. Like, again, we're talking to fellow founders. So probably it's like, oh, do they have something in mind for Black Friday, Cyber Monday already? Are they planning 2026 or none of them?
Yeah, we're planning retail for 2026 and sort of which retailers we'll be getting into. We have a lot of interesting stores and really great stores that we're super excited about that we're going to be starting rolling into even in the next couple of weeks, but really until the end of 2025. We also have, new flavors in the pipeline, which are really exciting. We have new products. So we're super excited about those. And obviously, I think with, as we keep growing, we're going to keep, organizing fun events and, be part of fun moments, whether it's, for Halloween or, the holidays. I think those are always really fun for our community.
I say events, it's online events or offline or both?
We do activations mostly, in the states or cities where we're selling, or that we know we have a big demographic based on our social media data and the people we interact with. And we like to activate there just so that we have more of a personal touch point with them so that they can try the product again, remind them that we're in store near them. And those usually don't cost too much too. So it's a good marketing tool for us.
Why do you like doing that? What do you get out of those typically that you don't get otherwise?
Well, we're activating a community in person, so they have a better touch point with us and the product that way.
Yeah. I guess one thing we lose online is the lack of interaction, like live interaction with customers. You know, their faces, like the expression on their faces when they test the product, what they say, what they tell their friends right at that moment after they try it. So probably being in real life with them is a valuable experience.
Yeah, I think online is obviously very convenient for people to purchase product online, and I think it makes it accessible nationwide. But at the end of the day, especially with food and beverage, you want to eat the product, you want to try it before you buy it, you want to like see it in person, you want to like hold it, and I think that's why these events are also very important for us and for our community.
Well, this was great. I wanted to know if there's anything that I didn't ask you that you would like to mention before we go.
I don't think so. I mean, we like to remind people that, we're one of the only organic pickles on the shelf. We have a pretty clean ingredient label compared to other brands. Like we're very ingredient forward. And that paired with our flavor innovation and our labels, we're hoping that we can kind of become a household brand name for people. And then obviously the name of the brand is Good Girl Snacks. So we're hoping to expand into other snacks after we kind of dominate the pickle aisle.
In mind that you can tell the audience, or is it a secret for now?
It's a little bit under wraps for now. So you guys will just have to stay tuned.
Yeah, and you can follow them. Of course, we'll include the social handle, the website, and everything else on our website, the ddcinsider.com. And of course, there you will see the show notes. You will see everything. So if you're listening this far, thank you first for listening to this, or why not for watching this. And to you both, thank you. It was great meeting you. And yeah, looking forward to chatting soon as well.
Thank you so much.
This episode was brought to you by BSR Digital. We help DTC brands grow through paid ads and email marketing campaigns. If you'd like us to help your business grow, head on over to bsrdigital.com and schedule a call with us.